Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you today to Susan G. Komen's virtual MBC Impact Series event. My name is Casey Volpe, and I'm with Susan G. Komen's Community Education and Outreach team. The programming for this series is envisioned as a year-long conversation with attendees, presenting new information and speakers each month. Today, our important conversation is going to focus on complementary and integrative therapies, and we have several amazing speakers to feature today, including Dr. Daniel Hughes, Nancy Herard-Marshall, and Deborah Krosky. Before we begin, Komen would like to thank our sponsors for supporting the 2022 MBC Impact Series event. Thank you to AstraZeneca for being the technology sponsor for this year's event. The virtual setting means that MBC patients, no matter where they live, can be part of this community. We would also like to thank our premier sponsors, Amgen and GE Healthcare, and our signature sponsors, Walgreens, Daiichi Sankyo, Sanofi, and Merck. The series is made possible because of their generosity. One more housekeeping note. While our speakers are talking, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A feature in Zoom, and we'll get to as many as we can. Towards the end of our programming, a survey link will be placed in the chat. Your feedback is very important to us and helpful for future MBC program planning. Also, by completing the survey, you'll be entered into a drawing to win an Amazon gift card. Now, we're very excited that you're all joining us for today's discussion, and I'd like to introduce you to our panelists. Our first is Dr. Hughes. He is a doctorally trained PhD in kinesiology with a sport and exercise psychology specialty. He is an American College of Sports Medicine certified clinical exercise physiologist and is American Heart Association ACLS certified. His research focus is on biobehavioral holistic interventions for cancer prevention and control, with an emphasis on culturally adapting and motivationally tailoring health promotion interventions targeting ethnic and racial cancer populations. He has several expertise, and one of them is in applying behavioral interventions to cancer survivors. He has been a PI on several NCI-funded studies on behavioral interventions that utilize social cognitive theory and
Are you still there?
Looks frozen.
Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, I think we may have lost Casey. Let's give her a second to join us
Oh,
back.
okay, sure.
Or if you want to, Dr.
There,
Hughes.
there she is.
There she is.
sorry all, I'm not sure what happened, but we're back. And I'm not exactly sure where I cut off, so I'm going to dive right back in with Nancy's bio. So Nancy was diagnosed with MBC in 2020. In the short time since her diagnosis, she has developed relationships with Komen, LBBC, Touch the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, and Share MBC groups. She has made personal and lasting connections with individuals in these groups, as well as participated in panels and a fashion show for breast cancer awareness. She's addressed the patient perspective of Black women with MBC and the disparities they face, as well as individuals with MBC with respect to the importance of palliative care and complementary and integrative therapies. She continues to learn more about her MBC community and looks forward to merging her work as a patient advocate, licensed creative arts psychotherapist, and spiritual life coach to help facilitate healing within the community. And last but certainly not least, Deborah Krosky. She is a 17-year survivor of stage 4 de novo breast cancer and lives in Branson, Missouri. Shortly after diagnosis, Deborah became locally involved in a cancer support and resource facility in Overland Park, where her and her family resided at the time of diagnosis and treatment. This facility, Turning Point, was a tremendous help in introducing new ways to cope with diagnosis and treatment, and was additionally a gateway into local advocacy work. With the growth of online support groups and new ways to approach advocacy, Deborah grew close to other stage 4 patients, both near and far. As friendships were lost to death, it became clear to Deborah what her role was to be for the remainder of her survivorship. By increasing advocacy efforts and teaming up with organizations to travel and speak to elected officials and telling her own story of disparities in care, Deborah found a new passion in thriving. She has worked with Living Beyond Breast Cancer and Hear My Voice educational program, MedUp and MediVibra, and is now an active member of Komen's Advocates in Science and is a patient grant reviewer. She reaches other patients through several social media platforms that connects with the newly diagnosed to help answer questions, provide hope and understanding, and share what she has learned from continually gaining knowledge through these programs. So I know I dropped off at some point, so I'm going to hand the virtual mic to Dr. Hughes to get us kicked off. And if I cut off at any point, Dr. Hughes, and you'd like to add in, please do so. And we'll let the panelists kind of spend a few minutes speaking to you guys directly now. Thank you so much.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. I hope everybody can hear me okay. And I believe that somebody's going to run some slides for me. I'll go off that. I just wanted to, start things off and talk a little bit about integrative approaches. Thank you very much. So just to let you all some full disclosure here, I'm sure many of you may have heard of Shirley MacLaine, the movie star who's had several quote unquote lifetimes. And I was, in my previous lifetime, I was actually a chemical engineer and saw what stress and did and lost a lot of family members to cancer, decided I needed to do something different. So I decided to go back to school at the age of 45 and get my degree and try to do something meaningful. And I was very fortunate to land a postdoctoral fellowship at MD Anderson in behavioral science. And I quickly learned that if I was going to do anything, we needed to really take an approach to cancer is a little bit different. And it's all about survivorship. And I know I'm speaking to the choir here, but just want to cover these points. And that is that very interested in survivorship. And as y'all know, it's become more and more of a chronic. We're going to be have more survivors, thank God. And it's really about optimizing, optimizing the trajectory of quality of life. And quality of life is one of the things like beauty and love. It's hard to define, but it's important to understand. And what I wanted to mention was that it really is about the whole person, which is really body, mind, and spirit. It's not just about physical functioning. It's not about a retaining range of motion. It's really about the whole person and coming up with interventions and programs that we can optimize the trajectory. And having said that, it's really very individualized because everyone comes with a different history and a different trajectory. Next slide, please, if I could. And that's my body, mind, and spirit little drawing there. So, one of the things is that I hope one of the things that I'm getting smarter, though I question that sometimes, in the way that we approach. It used to be just all about exercise and exercise physiology and thinking exercise does it all, but it doesn't. We really need more, again, than just physical functioning. Fortunately for me, here at Mace Cancer Center, I was fortunate enough to get a pilot study funded where we actually did an integrative program where we actually proved the feasibility in terms of opening the doors to any cancer survivor at any stage of diagnosis, after diagnosis, any stage of treatment, any organ site, and coming up with a program to just do exactly that, optimize their health-related quality of life as they perceive it, not the way we perceive it for them. And the point I want to make here is that we really are trying to integrate the best of everything we know into that particular person. And the issue is to come up with the best possible program for who that person is at that time and give them the best optimization we can. So just an example, not to say that we have all the answers, but just an example, we did yoga-based exercise with meditation and psychosocial support text messaging, and also encourage diet and exercise with special programs. So it's a lot, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot of transdisciplinary team to really, make the best optimization that we possibly can. So as an example that we have here is we actually did this study, and sure enough, as you guys know, COVID hit, and we didn't stop. We actually continued the study, but we started using telehealth, which is really kind of a blessing in disguise because now we're using telehealth to engage survivors more remotely and being able to get more uptake on what we're trying to do. But just an example, we had all these different things, and I want to talk about this motivational study. You guys know this better than I do, and that is that we're dancers, we're not statues. What motivates us today is a little different than what may motivate us tomorrow. And if we're smart as practitioners, we'll tap into what's motivating you today and try to be consistent and encourage that behavior. Next slide, please. So as an example, this is something that I'm really proud of, and it was amazing how well it worked in our little pilot. And that is that what I did with my survivors is I sent out this message through the Blue Jay platform. If they had a smartphone, they would get it and I said, what are you thinking today? What's motivating you at this instant? And you can see that we have this special instrument that taps into, a state that what you're thinking at this moment. Next slide or next click. And fortunate enough, came up, and his former engineer came up with an algorithm with BlueJ. Next slide or next tab. And we actually have messages that we use to tap into that motivational state. So for example, next slide, taps, please. If, the person answered, 1, 2, which is the first 4 boxes, then we would say, be prepared to try something new to achieve something truly meaningful. And next click, please. And then here is, out of one of the 4 responses, something you need to do what's best for your health, maybe necessary to achieve an optimal life balance. You say, okay, Dr. D, that's really cool and all this stuff, but what are you trying to get at? Here's what I'm trying to get at. If we're really going to move forward and move the needle forward and get people to do uptake behaviors, one example that I use a lot is screening colonoscopies for Latino male cancer survivors. Being a first-generation Mexican-American and working with the population of the South Texas-Mexico border, I can tell you that's a very difficult behavior to have happen. We can set the table, we can have buses, we can have hats and key rings, but unless a person is motivated to do it, it's probably not going to happen. So what I want to do and what we're going to is, in addition to all this supportive knowledge that we have in applying this integrative oncology, really tapping into them. What is the last neuron that's firing? What are you thinking? And then having that feedback. Next slide, please. And just as an example, one of the things that I was really surprised is how well our messages were received during the pandemic with our survivors. And you can see this one response I got from number 25. And I want to finish with one last slide because I think we've got some tremendous speakers that have some better knowledge even than I do. And that is, this is my participant that I did during my dissertation. I have to give a little background. One of the things that I was interested in is going to, in Houston, a lower socioeconomic community. And this young lady here, and I have her permission to tell her story, is that she was pregnant with this little guy when she got breast cancer. And she has prosthesis for her leg and lives in a pretty rough neighborhood, loose dogs and so forth. For us to tell her, you need to go out for a brisk walk, 30 minutes a day in the evening, it's not going to happen. So what we did is we went to her home, obviously, and did our assessments there. As you can see, it's a strength assessment. And, actually came up with a program, which is just a little boxing exercise, which is a little icon I have there. And she told us that what we did has actually saved her marriage and actually, improved her quality of life. And she defined it. And it was just very, very meaningful. Next slide, please. So I want to close with this. It's a little bit extra, not only say extra work, but extra effort to try to put all this integrative oncology together. And it's a little extra work when we look at the individual versus just the group. But if you guys are probably familiar with the story, and that is the 2 people were walking on the beach and all these stars, all these, have washed up on the beach. And, one person saying to the other, well, I'm throwing the starfish back in the ocean. So why are you doing that? There's thousands and thousands. How can you have an impact? And she threw one back in and said, well, for that starfish, makes all the difference in the world. So my closing statement is what I'm trying to say in all these slides and all these messages is, it is about the individual. They come in with a certain trajectory, they have certain motivation, they have certain medical history, and we need to bring the best of what we know for that individual to optimize their health-related quality of life for the long term. And I appreciate your patience and attention, and I look forward to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hughes. I'm going to go ahead and welcome Nancy onto the platform now so she can speak a little to her expertise. Oh, Nancy, you're still on mute, my dear.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Try that one more time. I'm really excited to be here today to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, that's very near and dear to my heart. Thank you, Dr. Hughes, for starting this off, and definitely thinking about personalization, as you mentioned, just as our treatments are becoming more personalized, complementary and integrative therapies can and should be personalized to each individual because it looks different for each person. So I have some slides as well. I want to run through those kind of quickly so that we have time for the other panelists and also give enough time for there to be a good conversation and back and forth discussion. So let me try and share my screen. Hold on. All right. Oh. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so as mentioned, I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer in January of 2020. My initial diagnosis was DCIS in 2013. And as I am a board certified dance and movement psychotherapist, I'm a Kemetic Reiki practitioner, and I utilized those therapies on myself once I was diagnosed, even with DCIS. And then when I was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, I utilized them again. Although I'm no longer practicing because of my diagnosis, I'm very passionate about these therapies that have been extremely helpful to me. And I just have some slides here so we can kind of run down what some of these therapies are and what they mean and spur a conversation. Okay. So first off, let me just gotta move something out of the way so I could see. Okay. Complementary, integrative, and alternative, right? We hear these words and sometimes they can be confusing. Are they the same? Are they not? So in my understanding, right, complementary therapies are all of these therapies on their own alongside standard medical care. So you may have an oncologist and go to your doctor and get your treatment, and then you decide on your own that you're also going to do art therapy or yoga. Integrative is a coordinated blending of conventional and complementary care. And that is often you see that at breast cancer centers like Memorial Sloan Kettering, where they have these integrative therapies at the center and they blend it and coordinate it for a personalized plan. Then there's alternative, you've heard about alternative therapies. Well, that is in place of conventional and allopathic medical care. So someone may decide that they do not want to do any conventional medicine and they only want to do alternative. And that also includes supplements and medicinal herbs. And the goal of all of these therapies is to decrease and to manage your physical and emotional side effects. That can be anxiety, fatigue, nausea, pain. I've had all of those and more. And I also utilize myself supplements and medicinal herbs, in addition to my allopathic medical care. Now, some of these therapies you might be familiar with, such like yoga, Tai Chi, massage, and you may have done them even before you were diagnosed. And some of them you might not be so familiar with, like the creative arts therapies, dance and movement psychotherapy. A lot of people are familiar with art therapy or heard of music therapy. There's also drama therapy and some others. It's a whole bunch of healing arts therapies. And that helps to personalize the care. So I might be someone who's a kinesthetic learner and dance movement therapy speaks to me, but that might not speak to you. Art therapy may be something that helps you to process your emotions as opposed to dance therapy. So there's a whole range and it all depends on who you are and what works for you. The most important thing I want to talk about too is always make sure when you're engaging in these therapies to seek out a certified practitioner. And you can find these in cancer centers, as I mentioned, or community centers. I'm in New York, so JCC of Manhattan has a program with these therapies, or you can find it in private practice, someone in private practice. So let's run through what some of these are quickly. There's acupuncture, right? Acupuncture is helpful with pain management, with nausea, with stress, and so much more. There is medical oncology massage. And the important thing here is to make sure you don't go to a regular massage therapist because they do not know how to deal with your body and what you're dealing with respect to what we all have to deal with metastatic breast cancer. So that's critical. It should be a massage therapist specially trained in oncology massage. And medical massage focuses on your medical needs. It helps with muscle health and recovery, stress relief, and relaxation. There's yoga and Tai Chi, right? It helps to increase flexibility, enhance bone strength, which is really important in our community. It helps to prevent or reduce lymphedema. It helps with range of motion, weight loss, increased mobility, and it also helps to reduce stress and pain. We have mindfulness and meditation. Also helps relieve anxiety and stress, improve sleep and mood, decrease fatigue, and also improve quality of life. And all of these help to improve quality of life. They all overlap. Again, it depends on exactly what it is that works for you. There's Reiki and energy medicine. And so energy medicine is an understanding that everything is energy. And quantum physics agrees now with the ancients that everything is energy. And in Reiki and energy medicine, it's believed that the illness is a sign, right, that this vital energy is off balance. And in order to balance those energy centers, as a Reiki practitioner, we help to do that with hands-on or hands-off work. We utilize chakras. I'm a Kemetic Reiki practitioner, so we call it Aritu. It's extremely similar, just a little different. The sessions incorporate crystals, instruments, relaxation, and it also is helpful in spiritual awakening and your basic well-being and physical health. On the bottom picture, that's really showing like the 7 major chakras, which we have the root chakra in red. Well, I can go through that later. It's going to take up too much time, but then there's the creative arts therapies, which are also known as the healing arts. And that could be dance and movement therapy, art therapy, music therapy, whatever really works for you. Sometimes talk therapy might be difficult for some people because you're experiencing something that you can't express verbally. And you can explore and express those emotions through movement or through art or through music. And it helps to process this unresolved grief, isolation, depression, fear. And you can utilize these therapies either as an individual or in group sessions. And the one thing that, as Dr. Hughes mentioned, because of the pandemic, all of these practitioners and therapists had to figure out how to do these things that are really easier in one way, person to person. How do we utilize that virtually? And so we realized that you can utilize these therapies virtually and they're still extremely effective. So if you are not near a center, there are many different organizations that have virtual programs, and I will list some of those at the end. So dance movement therapy is, let me just move this out of the way. I'll just give you a quick definition. It's a psychotherapeutic use of movement to promote emotional, social, cognitive, and physical integration of the individual for the purposes of improving health and well-being. So again, processing feelings that are difficult to express. And dance and movement therapy doesn't mean you're dancing through this whole thing. It can be about movement and the way we move. And you have to understand that all of the trauma that happens in our body with cancer is through our body. So movement therapy is helpful because it's a biopsychosocial support, meaning that we work with the body. And it helps to improve quality of life, body image, depression, cancer-related pain, and it is an engaging form of exercise. So we can dance and exercise in one session, and we can focus on some very difficult themes that you're having and you're dealing with this diagnosis through movement, and it doesn't have to be dance. There is art therapy, the same thing, but utilizing art, right? Processing emotions and feelings through visual and symbolic expression. There's music therapy, sound therapy, and each are a little different. Music therapy engages the individual to process these difficult emotions. Sound therapy is about hearing the different sounds that create relaxation and stress reduction. There are overlaps in this. And then another thing which isn't so well known is spiritual life coaching. It's how you utilize your energy. We utilize our energy in different ways, spiritually, physically, mentally, emotionally. And this is about using that energy and all of this energy to transform and experience life more fully by making positive changes. This is a field that is further developing within the cancer community. It's called cancer coaching. That's an emerging field. So someone might need help in goal setting. And so this is where life coaching would come in. And then finally, I'm just going to drop this in. And sometimes you see this considered in integrative therapies, and sometimes you don't. You mostly hear it in palliative care and pain management is medical marijuana, which helps with nausea, anxiety, insomnia. So some of the centers, again, I'm in the New York area, so I just listed some of the centers that I know of that provide virtual and in-person sessions as Memorial Sloan Kettering, the Dubin Breast Center. Online, you can look up Smith Center for Healing and Arts. They have a wonderful program, virtual program that you can get into some of these therapies. There's the Creative Center in New York, which is also online, and that's all art therapy in different ways. There's Mary's by the Sea. Some of you may have heard of Mary's Place by the Sea. That's in Ocean Grove, New Jersey. And they also have virtual programs, as well as JCC of Manhattan and You Can Thrive. And those are just some. Obviously, there's plenty more. And depending on where you live, you could research and find some programs. So that is it for my slides.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Last but certainly not least, Deborah, if you wouldn't mind coming off mute and telling us a little bit more about you and your experience with complementary and integrative therapies. We can get the Q&A started after that.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I hope I have myself unmuted. There we go. I was diagnosed in 2005 with stage 4 de novo metastatic breast cancer. And currently at that time, I was going through learning Reiki, energy practice, and getting my certification and dealing with, I had a group of individuals that we were all working on it together. And when I was diagnosed, my friends were like, you know, you have to take the holistic way, you can't do complementary or integrative. You've just got to go alternative all the way. That's the only way you're going to live. And I made the decision then that for me, I wanted to get to the end of my life and say I tried everything, that I wanted to use complementary avenues to complement my therapy for, you know, nausea, for pain management, and to learn not only loving kindness for, you know, the whole practice of loving kindness, but loving kindness for myself. And I know a lot of people are like, cancer is not a gift. This is, you know, super bad. I went to the other side of it as cancer was a gift and that it changed my life for the better, and opened my eyes to what the world could offer, besides, you know, living the American dream of working 75 hours a week at the time and being stressed out. So I started with a group in Kansas City. It's called Turning Point, and it is a group that is through University of Kansas. And their website, sorry, I don't have slides, is Turning Point at kumc.edu. They do have online programs to help you through. Their whole concept is to help cancer patients, all cancer patients, no matter what stage you are, with different therapies and exposing you to things like yoga. They had group sessions for metastatic cancers. They had emotional freedom technique tapping, EFT tapping, if you have not heard of that. It is based a lot on Chinese culture of acupuncture, but instead of actually using needles, you use a tapping technique, and it's a 5-step technique that can really help shift your mindset and help reduce pain, manage symptoms from cancer care. That was probably the first thing that I really grabbed a hold of during my time at Turning Point. Also, we went into meditation and mindfulness and visualization, really focusing on setting up a sacred space within your home to practice these things. So, and also the great thing about meditation and mindfulness is when you're away from home, you can practice it anywhere. It's a tool in your toolbox. And you can be sitting, getting ready for a scan at the hospital, and close your eyes and go to your sacred space that's at home by visualization and really get yourself to a calm state prior to going into a scan or any doctor's appointment. So I found that really helpful. And it's important to know that in all of these extra techniques that you will find yourself having a better mental capacity. You'll find yourself in a better space with that. You'll find yourself in a better space dealing with pain. But in that, don't replace the conventional care of actually seeing a doctor for the things like if you're having increased pain, but you're kind of dealing with it with meditation, you still want to let your doctors know about your increased pain and how you're dealing with it. So definitely be very upfront with your doctors of what techniques you're using so that they can be in the loop, so to speak, with where you're at on complementary care as well. I was also introduced to yoga at Turning Point, and that really helped with increasing range of motion and understanding the principles, excuse me, the principles of bringing that mindful and meditation into a stretching practice. And I'm a newbie on all of this stuff. I know I've been doing this for 17 years, but the reason I say that is a lot of people are like, oh no, I can't do any of this. It's too much. I don't know what I'm doing. You can definitely reach out to a care coordinator at your cancer treatment center or hospital, and they will help get you into programs that are in your area, and they have knowledge of those things that are available. A lot of services are free. Some services are like on a sliding scale. So I definitely encourage you, just because you haven't done it before doesn't mean it won't work for you. So definitely reach out to that care coordinator and, I call it dabbling. Dabble in things until you find something that resonates with you and brings you joy. The next thing I wanted to speak about is that I've turned to is art therapy. I've always been a creative person, and whenever I bring up art therapy, people are like, oh no, I don't have a creative bone in my body. It does not matter. You can start anywhere. You can start with drawing. You can start with doodling, like Zentangle. You can dance therapy, dance it out. there's all sorts of different arts that you can use to express yourself. Some of them are more tangible, like actually producing products, like, you know, making jewelry. While some people think it's as little as putting beads together, it's helpful. It takes you to a place in your mind where you're hitting that creative connection, and that pulls you away from like a negative mind space. So I encourage, even if you've never created a thing in your life, it is a very, it's helpful to release using the creative processes, even of coloring, painting, sculpting. There's so many different things, paint by number, there's tons. So that's definitely something. The things that I used starting out, I made jewelry. I also, in the beginning, couldn't find a lotion or body lip balm or body cream and scrubs that I use on my skin. I became very sensitive after chemo and radiation, and so I made my own. So that was another creative outlet. I've done things like painting, refinishing furniture. Some things can cost a lot of money to get into, other things can cost very little to get into. So again, just find something that you're passionate about and tap into, you know, dabble until you find something that really resonates and brings you joy. And then the last thing is pet therapy. And there's different levels of pet therapy that you can go. There's actually accredited, it's called AAT, animal assisted therapy. And that's where trained animals, they're trained animals for the therapeutic purpose, and they help manage physical and cognitive emotional limitations. You can find these programs through hospital rehabilitation centers and group therapies. They help with anxiety and panic disorders. They are qualified mental health specialists. If you don't want to take it to that particular level, you can say you can't have pets where you live or whatever. It does not mean you can't have access to animals. You can start by volunteering at your local shelter. They need people to walk the animals and care for the animals. And I know our shelter lets you volunteer as much as you'd like. So if you want access to loving and petting on our little furry friends, you can literally go every day of the week and help them. So definitely reach out. You're not restricted is what I'm saying. There's places that you can go to get access to those furry friends. You can adopt or foster, consider fostering an animal. Fostering and adoption, they usually come with their own set of baggage, but it feels so good. And I know a lot of people are super scared of, well, I have cancer, so I don't know what I'm going to do if I have this animal. And so they limit themselves to not being able to get a pet because they have cancer. And I originally was scared getting a brand new pet back in 2008 because I was afraid I wasn't going to outlive her, and that I didn't want to leave an animal because I didn't want their heart to break like that. So I've gotten into adopting older animals, senior animals, people, you know, that have passed away or decided they're moving and can't have the cat that they've had for 12, 13, 14 years. You know, there's senior animals that need love too. And then you can make that commitment on a shorter term without feeling like you're going to be guilty for leaving them. So that is pretty much everything that I have, and welcome any questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Hughes and Miss Casey, for your beautiful setup to my speaking. And I just really love having this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, I'm going to kick off the Q&A here with the first question for our panelists. And that would be, what therapies have you benefited the most from, or have you seen others benefit from?
I can answer that. For me, I utilize a lot of the therapies that I mentioned, but one of the more significant ones for me that actually surprised me, especially in my first year with MBC, was meditation. Very significant for me, really helped me to focus on positivity because the diagnosis is so traumatic. I meditate every day now, and I find that when I am not keeping up my practice of meditation, I start to slip. I start to find that I'm more anxious. The depression starts to come in, thinking about all of those things. So meditation has been extremely helpful for me, as well as the others, but meditation definitely for me.
You know, I saw that too, and I was very surprised, meditation from my participants. And also, I wanted to say that I teach a class at Rice University called Understanding Cancer. And I did an experiment with them, about meditation, and actually had an extra credit project because I wanted to see if those motivational states change when they do meditation. Do they think differently before and after? And I was surprised to see how good the response rate was and how much it benefited them. And they got to where it actually became a habit for them. And like you're saying, Nancy, it really did kick in and made a big difference for them individually. And I was also surprised that actually it did change their thinking. And Dr. Cohen, one of my mentors at MD Anderson, has actually cited a couple of studies where the neuroplasticity of the brain changes from meditation. He likens it to doing, muscular exercises, but you do exercises but through meditation. And it does change some of the anatomy of the brain, which is a little surprising, even though I don't know that much more about that. So I saw that as well.
Right. And I would say to people, if you're a lot of people say, I'm a little nervous about meditation. I can't meditate for hours. You don't have to start for a whole hour. Just start for a couple of minutes. Start for 5 minutes. And yeah, a lot of stuff, we have all of that talk in our heads. It's going to come in. Notice that, yeah, I'm thinking about this and that. And then just let it go and continue to try. And once you are consistent with that, you can go longer and longer and longer in your meditation practice. And there are apps that are excellent for that. There is an app that is my favorite called Insight Timer. There are thousands of different meditations and guided visualizations, guided imagery. So, and you can get it for free, or you can get the pro and pay, but I would say get it for free. Try it out, and you will find meditations that are helpful for you. There are thousands, all different kinds, and Calm and other apps like that. There, Deborah?
I would completely agree on meditation and visualization. That is by far the best way to get your mind in the practice of even in the stress and everything that's going on, to clear your head and focus on yourself. I find it the biggest act of self-care that you can give yourself. And when I can even see when other people have started a meditation practice, they start with baby steps, and then within 3 or 6 months, a lot of their behavior around stress and anxiety is noticeably different. And I can't stress how effective it is. It is amazing.
Yeah, there is a question here. What tips would you have for integrating medical marijuana to your palliative care program when you've already been taking opioids? Well, I will say my experience, when I was first diagnosed, I was given opioids. which unfortunately landed me back in the hospital. I just do not do well with opioids at all. And that is how I came to medical marijuana. And of course, you need to speak to your oncologist and let them know any of these therapies, I believe as Deborah mentioned, you need to talk to your oncologist and let them know what you're doing. But I was able to put that into my plan. And actually, with the treatment that I'm doing now, it has been a lifesaver because I'm on Enhertu now and there's extreme nausea. And the nausea medications that I were given is not working. I'm still nauseous. And the only thing that works for me is the medical marijuana. So that's how I've integrated it into my treatment plan. But again, talk to your doctor and talk to your palliative care team to find out how to include it if necessary.
And I would say, you know, to jump on what you're saying there, is be cautious, obviously. But, you know, what works for me may not work for you, may not work for them. It's all about individualization. And one of the things that I think we're seeing now with cancer survivorship across the board is the need for the survivor to be a decision maker with their team into what happens to them and to be informed about all the different options, because there are a lot of options out there. And I love what Deborah said about, you know, sampling and, you know, find what works, you know, but just be careful and be cautious.
We have a question. I'm a patient at MSK, recently diagnosed with MBC, and I'm appalled at the cost of CNI therapies. How to get this funded? For example, the remote integrative med program at MSK is $25 per month. What I have found when you check with your patient coordinator at whatever center you're at, there are and they don't, some places offer this information and other places you actually have to ask about it. But some places have grants that will fund you as a patient for different programs or offer sliding scales for complementary and integrative therapies. So definitely ask. It never hurts to ask. You know, the worst you can hear is a no, but there's different grants available, and the people that donate and businesses and companies offer these grants to be used, but they don't necessarily always promote them, because a lot of places, you know, if you think you can afford it, they'll take the money and leave the grant for someone else. So definitely check on grants and sponsorship programs for any of these therapies.
And any of y'all around the San Antonio area, we actually have a study that we're doing, and we're looking for breast cancer survivors for, you know, the integrative oncology that we're doing to build on what we have here. And my advice is to look in cancer centers and look for trials that may be ongoing. You just have to do a little digging. But that's one way that you can get a benefit out of that. One of the things that's going on, I see it changing, and I hope it changes sooner than later, is the, you know, the reimbursement for these complementary and alternative and integrative. You know, we hadn't gotten it across the board yet, but I think it's coming. We just have to keep pushing our, you know, our leaders to make that happen, our insurance companies. But my advice is to look for studies and to look for grants to do that.
Right. I agree with that. And also in some centers, those therapies are within that cancer treatment program. For example, at the Dubin Breast Center, which I was at, those complementary therapies are provided at no cost to you. Well, with the exception of acupuncture, but at a very low cost. So you get like 15 minutes of reflexology or what have you. So
And
there are
Andy Anderson is that way too, by the way, in
Oh,
Houston.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. There's a question here. Are there any integrative and complementary therapies in research now that show promise? All of the therapies that I mentioned, they're all evidence-based, with the exception of spiritual life coaching, not so much, but yoga, dance therapy, all of these are evidence-based therapies, and there are a lot of articles in online journals and what have you that you can look through for the research on that. There is a comment from Facebook. I'm so grateful that I grew up with these tools. If I didn't have those tools right now, I would not be able to be flowing through this. I've cried, I refused narcotics, I was barely taking a leave for pain. I didn't grow up with pharmaceuticals in my system. Recently, I decided to do Tylenol alternating with Tramadol on the very bad days and medical marijuana every day. I love your suggestions. This has helped me feel really confident about some of my decisions out of the gate with this. What I will say about that is, and I think that Deborah alluded to this as well, self-advocacy is so important. It is critical. And I think that these therapies are a part of self-care and self-advocacy. Ask for them. Ask your coordinator, patient coordinator, advocate for yourself and find those things. And then after you find them, if it's too expensive, as someone mentioned, try to find funding. This is your health, and that's the most important thing. There is a question, where can you go to get prescription for medical marijuana? Does it help with side effects of treatment such as diarrhea, headaches, and backaches? Dr. Hughes, you can talk to her, so somebody else can chime in, but you do need to get in the states where it is legal, you do need to go to a doctor that can assess your need for it. And then you get a prescription for it, like in New York, you get the prescription for it, and then you go to New York's medical marijuana program and you register. And then once you register, you get a card. And you take that card to the different dispensaries and you will have a prescription that says what ratio is good for you. This is not about just going and getting marijuana off the street.
That's true.
not.
That's true.
That is not what we do here, right?
Yeah.
It has to be proper. It has to be from a provider. So.
And it can work, and it can work well. And you just have to, like we said at the beginning, be cautious, be careful.
Yes.
I love what you said about, being your self-advocate. Again, survivors need to be the decision makers. They need to be the one to get as informed as you can. There's a lot of opportunity to get informed now. And I wanted to say this about, said about scientific evidence. One of the things that we're doing is that we're publishing our results. And, as I mentioned, it's important about measurement and to show that we're actually making improvements. And, we have to be careful with that. It's beyond physical functioning. It's also about spiritual and mental function.
Absolutely.
And cognitive maintenance. And it works. It really does work. And I can't stress enough how individualized it is. And you just have to understand, as the survivor, you're the one that's making the decisions for yourself, and you need to find what works best for you. It's all about you. Yeah.
We have another question. I'm 4 years into my MBC cancer journey. How do I get people, friends to understand that I will never be cured and am continually in treatment?
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me,
Persistence. You got to keep
yes.
the same message. I mean, you really do.
Persistence, and it's definitely about education, because we do need to increase and expand how we talk about metastatic breast cancer. And in the beginning, which I'm going to say 4 years was in the beginning for me, my anniversary date the day that I was diagnosed, we turned it into a day that I celebrate. And so my family would know April 1st, yes, I was diagnosed on Fool's Day, April Fool's Day. When it comes around, that's my other birthday in the year. And we celebrate with a cake. We celebrate it because it is when my old life ended and my new life began. And I celebrate survivorship during that time. And that's one of those things that you can kind of express to family members, like, oh yeah, we celebrated this week, because that keeps it in their head that this is an ongoing thing for you. Also, you know, education around different treatments, getting involved in advocacy so that you can say, you know, I'm going to this. And when I say get involved in advocacy, there are programs like Living Beyond Breast Cancer. Komen has programs, MedUp and MediViver, they go and speak on Capitol Hill. Getting involved in those things and becoming passionate about that will enlighten and inform your family and friends, because when you get back from those places, you can't not talk about everything you've just experienced and all the great people that you've met. So that's another way to connect to the metastatic breast cancer community. And when it becomes important to you, and obviously you're living it every day, so it's important to you, your family will start to catch on. It does take some time. I won't lie about that, but definitely reaching out and finding support of other metastatic breast cancer patients. There's even places on Facebook. If you're not part of groups on Facebook, I would definitely try that. When you reach a 5-year survivorship, I have a metastatic breast cancer outliers club Facebook page. So yeah, definitely try to get involved and educate them. I try to do it not like in a snarky way. I try to do it in a nice way and hope that they retain it. I've had to get snarky a couple of times, but you know, they'll eventually come around.
Yeah. And I'm a straight shooter. When someone says to me, oh, you look great, you must be finished treatment, I just tell them, I said, no, I have metastatic breast cancer. I will always be in treatment for the rest of my life. And I keep saying it until it sinks in.
Right.
So I think that's all of the questions we have at the moment.
Yeah.
We had one more just pop on at the last minute, and I do want to make sure we address it before I close out. It says that, you know, medical marijuana is very expensive. This individual lives on Social Security. So be cautious and careful of what, please? She missed the beginning.
Yeah, it is very expensive, I will say. Yeah, unfortunately, it's very expensive. And insurance does not cover it. Of course, insurance it does not cover it. So that is one of the issues for sure.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I really want to take another moment here to close this out and say thank you to our panelists and all of our attendees for really good questions and some really phenomenal discussion. I hope that some of the tips and tools and resources that were shared are helpful. There is a poll that was just launched, so please, if you wouldn't mind answering that, and then also clicking the link and completing the survey for us. And please be honest, it really does help us shape this program, make sure we're providing impactful and useful content to the MBC community. So again, thank you so much to Dr. Hughes, to Nancy Herod-Marshall, and to Deborah Croskrey. Today's session was recorded and will be posted on our landing page and YouTube very soon, so you can rewatch and share as much as you'd like. You can also view previous sessions you may have missed. And also please help spread the word about this content with your friends, family, and healthcare professionals you think may be interested. And once again, we want to acknowledge our sponsors of the 2022 MBC Impact Series. Their generous support allows us to continue to bring the community together to share important information, resources, and experiences. So a very special thank you to AstraZeneca for being the technology sponsor for this year's series, and to Amgen and GE Healthcare for being our premier sponsors. And last but certainly not least, our signature sponsors, Walgreens, Sanofi, Daiichi Sankyo, and Merck. The series is made possible because of their generosity. So once again, friendly reminder, please complete the survey and please complete the poll. Last, The next NBC event will actually be in January. We do not have an event in December because we will be Facebook streaming SABCS, the San Antonio Breast Cancer Symposium
Yeah,
in
yeah.
December. So very exciting updates to look forward to there.
Look
But we
forward to
also-
seeing everybody there.
Yes, that's right, because they're coming to your hometown. So we look forward to having you tune in December and join us again in January. Thank you again for joining today. Thank you to everyone who participated, and stay safe and stay connected.
Thank y'all very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.